Hey team, welcome back to another episode of Identity Human, and I'm excited to share this one with you. There is a bit of a roller coaster of a background, some insights, and then probably some live coaching that is definitely done to draw out a story that's going to help you watching this if you resonate with my special guest. So enjoy the episode with my dad. Cheers. Yeah. Welcome back to the Identity Human podcast with your host, Don. And I'm excited today because do you see the resemblance here? This is my dad. So we've got my dad on the podcast today. And when I asked him, do you want to be a guest? He was actually very, very excited. Of course I want to be. But I think initially you thought you were going to watch me recording. And then today I was like, are you ready for the podcast? And he said, yeah, where do I watch you? And I said, no, you're actually on it. And he was like, oh. So welcome.
Thank you, Donna. Yeah.
So just give a little bit of an introduction from your point of view before I do, for the listeners, who you are, where you come from, where do you live? Yeah.
Okay, I was born in what was then known as Rhodesia, went over to Zimbabwe. I spent some time in South Africa because of the situation there. And now I'm back in Zimbabwe, living in Victoria Falls at the moment.
So you live currently in Victoria Falls.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
Tell us about Victoria Falls.
Oh, it's actually a wonderful place. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. It's right in the corner of Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Very, very hot in the summer and very pleasant in winter. It has a lot of tourist things like games, lodges,
Yeah.
Victoria Falls itself, which has...
Well, it's one of the 7 wonders of the world.
It's one, yeah, it has a lot going for it. Yeah.
And so what have you been doing? What do you do living in Vic Falls?
Okay, I helped my brother do a one loft pigeon race there, which not many people know a lot about. But basically, or very simply put, people send birds to us from about 40 different countries around the world. We race, train, medicate, manage them for the people. And there is over $1 million worth of prize money put on the table for them to win. And it's a business that there's a feedback from that.
Okay. So essentially it's like a much more accessible horse racing.
Yes, yeah. And everybody in the world can actually take part, but it's primarily for fanciers around the world that want to go and test their birds against the rest of the world.
Yeah.
At everyone who sends to the...
But if someone was watching and they had a spare £1,000 lying around, they could say, can I buy some birds? And all they would do is buy 5 birds. Is that right? 5 birds with a reserve?
No, they could buy 5 birds, or they could even just buy 1 bird.
Okay.
And be part of the race, and then they could be part of winning the
prize money.
The money
literally, you could buy 1 bird. You guys do everything. Train it up. You do all the early morning wake ups.
We do
all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And if that bird happened to pitch up at the right time in the right place on the day and come in first, they would win $1 million.
Well, no, not quite. There's $1 million of prize money.
Pool available.
It's a pool available.
Yeah.
And it's spread over roughly 700 prizes.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the main race being spread over about 200 positions.
Yeah.
Where the first prize is well over $100,000.
Yeah.
And that just goes all the way down.
Okay.
And then there's 5 other races, also at about $50,000 a race. So you've got plenty of opportunities.
So it is like horse racing.
Yeah,
so if any of you guys that are watching this like horse racing but don't like the odds, and you want to, it's like horse racing and Formula One because there's a lot more detail to it. Then you can ask us for the details and we'll send you and you can into the next race. So also I will speak about you've got a passion for your gardens.
Yes, yeah.
And so is that what you do on the side? Just because
what I do on the side is I do landscape gardening.
Yeah.
And I love being in the garden. I love being in the bush.
Yeah.
And it's one of my passions. Watching game and particularly watching bird life in the wild.
Okay.
And there's a huge opportunity there.
Okay. Well, I mean, I look forward to seeing almond landscaping or whatever it is, plus the pigeon racing really taking off and putting this clip out there and saying this is where it all started. Okay, so the point of Identity Human podcast to get you on here is obviously this is my dad, so there's lots of lessons, and I actually realize there's not many podcasts that I see where you've got the person showing you, what's behind the scenes. So like I've had mom on the podcast, I've got my dad on the podcast now, and sometimes it's really good to see what's behind the curtain of someone and just talk about a few things. Like, it's how do we get to real authentic life here, and what we go through, and how you can pass that on, and what you're currently going through, like where you're at, because you're in your 70s, and far too often I see people in the 70s almost just waiting for life to pass, and I go like, but there's still so much more.
Absolutely.
Does that resonate with you?
Now I feel like I'm in my 70s now, and I feel almost like I'm starting life over again. I've
Fantastic.
now had an opportunity to travel here to the UK, which I haven't done for 5-6 years now.
Yeah.
And it's been such an eye-opener. I mean, I haven't had much time with the grandkids at all. In fact, it was 3 days only about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so now a month here has really been incredible. So
yeah,
I'm really grateful for the opportunity coming here. In fact, I'm committing it to a yearly visit now, a minimum of a yearly visit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And we spoke about that a lot in terms of using things that emotionally drive you, like spending time with your grandkids, to make sure that when you leave here, you don't just go back to your rhythm in Zimbabwe and forget what you're fighting for, essentially.
Yeah.
But I really want to hone in the point you said, that you feel like you are just starting to live life, or see that there's so much to live.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think how do we get people into that state of mind before they get to the 70s?
That's a good question. I mean, all I can do is tell you from my point of view is it's really a decision.
Yeah.
That I can either just sit around and mope, or wake up every day and start cold showers, do some exercises.
I've got him on the program, by the way, just so you know.
Find friends around you, find a partner that you want to spend your life with, and nurture that, and work on it.
Yeah, which you have been. So obviously you and mom got divorced when I was 18, so 17 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, there's no, like I said, we tell lots of stories here. There's going to be people of mixed ages watching this. If there's someone that's going through something similar, where we had 2 kids, we try, just to give you a bit of a backstory, there's obviously a lot of change before divorce. It doesn't just end up one day, right? You move from from the farm to South Africa, and so much happened in terms of starting again every year, almost, financially, identity-wise. There's stuff I have spoken about before, where we lost everything from the Zim farm because of, say, war vets. You and mom try to go on your own, and war vets then didn't make that work properly. And it was just, there's certain things that are so out of your control that when you get into this phase of being resilient, you don't have time to be self-aware. You just crack on and you drive forward to what you're trying to achieve, which is where I see you guys went. But then moving over to South Africa, you started the same thing, trying to start a farm with a business partner. You expand because you're doing well, and then disease hits the crops, and it's all gone. And there's not, like, all the capital that you took a risk on to get in was gone.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's, again, it's something that's out of our control. But if you're not, right now you're saying aware, if you're not aware at that stage, it beats you down, and it beats you down, and it beats you down. It takes a toll. It can change who you are inside, because you put these protective walls on. And so you suddenly make decisions that you're like, you look back now, I imagine you go like, why did I do that?
Yeah, exactly.
What was going on there? So if someone's going through, let's say, 3 years prior divorce stage, what advice could you give someone who's listening that you think will help them make it's just a decision that you've made to now live and be aware? What thing, like insight, what is the thing that you wish you could go back and tell yourself now that would change how you saw things? Did you ever think about that?
I've actually given that a lot of thought. And it's quite hard to expose exactly what happened. But, you've got young kids going through senior school, all doing well. And
so just make sure you're holding it like that. There we go. Sorry, just in case of sound.
And 1 or 2 things go wrong, and you do some stupid things, and you end up in a divorce situation, which should never really happen.
Yeah.
And I think it's too easy to get divorced.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a lot of help now, and people should really maybe give it a go at least. Whereas possibly I didn't do
Yeah.
that enough.
One of the biggest things that I speak about in different ways and themes is like how important your support circle is.
Yeah,
So that's the people around you will feed in certain confirmation biases or thoughts or self beliefs. Do you think that, if I said to you, if you had someone else around you that was pro staying together and actually didn't just changed how you saw things and thought like, look, all of that's gone on, but you can't change it. You've got to fight for that. That you would have. That's the kind of thing that makes you see what's right in front of you in a different way. But what you may have had was people around you that didn't challenge you in that way, or just didn't have that same kind
yeah.
of viewpoint. And would you say that it's worth, like, was my immediate thing that I'm thinking here is it's worth checking your social circles when you're in a situation that you're struggling in?
I think that's critical. People really have to look at who are their friends, who are they aspiring to be with, and quite honestly, I don't think I had the right people around me.
Yeah.
So the thing of finding a little bit of joy or challenges away from it led me down that path.
Yeah.
And yeah, I should have changed it. And I'm only blaming myself here. I think it always takes a lot
Take
of people.
responsibility.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's taking responsibility because we can find so many different reasons. That's not the point. I think the point is it's just looking like if there's that Wade listening now,
yeah.
what can you tell him that'll jolt him out of a possible direction?
I would say really make up your mind in what's important to you, and then go wholeheartedly with those things. And
Yeah,
if it's important for you just to do sport, yeah, then you know that there's sacrifice to be made.
yeah,
If you just want to go for a business or financial things and that's all you care about, then you have to make the sacrifices. But I honestly think life is made up of so many different circles. You must investigate them all.
yeah. But that's
Yeah,
where you're at now, isn't it?
yeah, I'm investigating it all.
Well, so I mean, just to give everyone a bit of context, since you've arrived, we've had so many conversations. You've asked so many questions, and like when I say, you've got to find someone that's coachable because it's the coachable person listens,
Yeah,
and that's where you've got this. It's very refreshing to have because you'll listen, even if you kind of have an opinion of it. You can see you take it in because you'll come back 2 hours later and ask a question on something I've said there. And so now, especially if you're in your 70s and you're doing that, like it's even more rare to be in that space where you're
yeah,
like, yeah, okay, well, what can I learn? How can I do this? Like we've just set up Audible, and you bought your first book. You're taking another book home with you. You've got protein powders and all that kind of stuff. We talked about nutrition and how healthy you
yeah.
you need to look after your body as well as your mind now. And you're taking, and by the way, everyone did his first ice bath yesterday
Yesterday, yeah.
at 6
But I've
degrees.
done cold showers for
And
a
he'd
while.
been doing cold showers because obviously got him on the program. But since we got shower, we set up the outdoor cold shower, and you've been doing them with me in the morning. And then you saw me jumping in the ice bath, and then the kids were like, "You can do it," and then you got in. So now you're on 2 days.
Yeah,
Um, and so it is like those little changes you decided a couple of months ago to take on cold showers,
yeah,
and they didn't change your life, but I almost want to highlight a journey of anyone else that's listening that like it doesn't change your life in the first 5 days, but you're now maybe 5-ish months on,
yeah, yeah, about
and
that.
you're
Yeah,
in a stage where you've got this extra set of belief that's like, oh, I've done the cold showers. What, like, how can we keep evolving? But you've
yeah,
put in some graft and some foundation that puts you in this place. It doesn't come easy to everyone, as everyone would be doing it.
yeah,
So yeah, I think it's very refreshing to have someone that's coachable, and I want to commend you in front of everyone, but also because I want to highlight that to anyone that may be listening. Just try and think about when you listen to other people. Do you listen to try and prove them wrong? Do you listen to then see, oh, I'm going to find fault in what they're saying? Or do you listen to genuinely be curious as to what that might help you see that you haven't seen?
yeah.
Okay. So the next, I mean, it could be biggest lessons question. So what are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned throughout life? Could be anything. Could be work related, home, like friend related. It doesn't have to be anything specific.
I've actually got lots,
Yeah.
but I don't know what to focus on now. But one thing is to really drive yourself to get better all the time at whatever it is, whether you're picking up a new relationship and making it work, whether it's with a friend or a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, make it work. Give it a go if it's worth it.
So if you don't mind me picking up on that point, you've put a lot of effort into improving relationships is probably the better way to say it, is making sure that you're asking a lot of questions about understanding communication, other people, and how to see things from different points of views. That's grandkids, friends, whatever it is. How's that going for you? Are you discovering things new at 70 that you didn't know before, you wish you did?
I wish I'd done this work a long time ago. I think I would have gone differently even from school. I think school should be more mindful of what happens after school and what happens to you as a person, because it's not the education you get really. I mean, if you're going to be a doctor, you've obviously got that type of brain.
Yeah.
But you've also got to go home every day as a doctor and choose the partners that you're going to get in life and have kids.
Yeah.
What do you do with all those? You've got to do a lot of work on that. It doesn't come easy.
Yeah.
But it can be very pleasurable, very, very rewarding.
And you think, I mean, it's a really good point about being taught in school. I say that all the time. I'm like, there's a book called Nonviolent Communication, and I go, that should be taught every single year from 12 and up.
Yeah.
And if younger, if they did. But no, not yet. Yeah. But it's fundamental in terms of how you can communicate better, because if you go into business, because that's what I do, or relationships or friendships, it always comes down to lacking the ability to communicate effectively. Because if you can communicate effectively, it's because you can recognize your own needs, you can recognize emotions, you can understand that there's two parts to play, and then you communicate around it, and you always get rid of these invisible demons that we always make in our heads.
Yeah.
And that's why the hardest thing, unfortunately, sometimes is to just have a conversation, because in our heads we've made all of these reasons why I can't do this and can't do that, and they don't like me this. But as soon as you have the chat, you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And like 90% of conversations go that way.
It should actually come from your parents.
But if your parents never get taught, right?
If your parents never get taught, they need to make the effort.
Yeah.
Which if you're now doing over the years, you're then going to realize that, the kids must be brought up.
But then your next challenge is, if you, as the middle generation, make that effort, you not only have to raise your kids, you also have to raise your parents. I know it sounds condescending, but if there is someone that has communicated in a certain way their whole life, and they are in a pretty good space, and you suddenly turn around and you say, that's ineffective communication, they're going to be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So it becomes this double challenge. But it's fascinating because you learn so much more. And I live that life every single day. And I get to really learn what is good information that's usable, what isn't.
Yeah.
So I think, thanks for raising the point about are you teaching your kids how to communicate, and are you looking it up? Because it does become something that's so effective. Now, I've also got a question of principles. What principles do you live by?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
So I try and live by Christian beliefs of being mindful of what I do with people.
Yeah.
And I have experience of not being mindful of it.
Yeah.
So the principle are to do the right things, to be honest, to be caring, to be thoughtful.
Yeah.
And helpful. Yeah.
So interesting observation. I've known you since I was born.
I knew that.
And you haven't always been Christian, but some of the values that you've just described there are what I've seen you always being and doing. So I've always walked into the shops and greeted the teller, or said, how's your day going? Or made a comment. But I know that that's what you always used to do. So the ability to learn to speak to people regardless of what level they're on has been something that you naturally do, which is treating people kindly, just treating people like people. And that's that's not, I know it's so hard when I say, what are your principles? But that's just who you are. But sometimes I ask a question because sometimes we don't see that in ourselves. So it's really hard to see that which we do not see. That you got internal personality and external personality. So you would have described some of the things that are internal maybe, but your external is what I saw. And I think treating people well and probably seeing the best in people. without judging them.
There's also another angle to it, is that I know what I know.
Yeah.
But I want to know what you know. So by asking you the right questions and listening to you, I've often been I remember quite clearly we were releasing the pigeons on a particular place and we were waiting, because you always get the birds to stand for a while before you release them. And an old, what we call a madalla, old guy came walking along, and I said hello to him. We ended up with the half an hour conversation about farming and everything. And he was such a wonderful old guy. I wish I could go back and see him.
Yeah.
And he was so open with his information. And I thought that was a great lesson for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I know, but I want to listen to what you got to tell me.
Yeah. And I sometimes go, that's something that's either you're born with, because it's harder to learn that naturally. It's harder to force being interested in things that you're not interested in.
Yeah.
And so that's where you recognize, like, your ability to connect with people and ask them the right questions. Sometimes that's naturally born into you, and then you recognize it, and then you can start to do it over and over. But that, for me, like some of the principles, and I think, would it be fair to say that sometimes if you have people first principles, it means you struggle in areas that aren't people first?
Probably, yeah.
So like if I was to put you into a chartered accountant practice, how do you think you would fare?
Well, I would have to come up with a negative answer. We're not supposed to be
No,
negative.
well, go for anything. But you can be anything you want to be. There's no supposed to be.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I haven't learned to be good with figures.
Yeah.
So I'm choosing my words carefully. So a chartered accountant wouldn't be one of them.
Actually, Ray called me out the other day because I watched her webinar, and I said, there's someone that isn't good with figures. Would this digital course help me? Because I like to just prompt questions. And she goes, first of all, you've told yourself you're not good with figures, but that's just an excuse not to try. And I was like, okay, you called me out. Yeah, okay, fine. Good one, yeah. And that's where I like that brutal honesty. But yeah. Now, I haven't got this question on yet, but what scares you the most?
What scares me the most?
Yeah.
That I must keep my health. If I can keep my health the way I'm heading with it and keep working on my health, then I won't be so scared.
Of what?
If you suddenly get cancer or something, that wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
Or if you fall down and break your neck or something, that would be a horror story for me.
Yeah. So is that your motivation is to make sure that you are fully able to live until you drop down dead without knowing, because you're just active? And
I'd like to go to the day. I don't want to. I don't want to suffer.
You've just prompted a question I'm going to ask. What's your dream death? Because everyone talks about your dream day and your dream life, but what about your dream death?
At the peak of where I want to go.
Yeah.
And then it's suddenly gone.
Gone. Yeah.
But then if it's suddenly gone and you're having a wonderful time with people around you, and especially if you've got a special partner, and suddenly you go, that's sad.
Yeah, look, it's still thinking about the people there. But of course, it's sad regardless of how you go. Yeah. But I think that some people do have an ideal death, and like accepting that allows you to just live free. So, I mean, just as you listen to this could be a bit of life coaching. If you motivate yourself through fear, then you're always avoiding something and you're always aware of it.
Yeah.
So what we subtly did there is, I was like, oh, you're motivating yourself not to be unhealthy, not to fall, so you're essentially waiting for that to happen, or you're trying to do everything to avoid it. But if you were to just go, my ideal death is to live really healthily so that I die suddenly in my sleep one day, like I just get up and something happens, or I'm out in a mountain and lightning strikes me, but I'm super healthy. Well, I'm happy.
It's a good question. My grandfather was 86.
Yes.
Playing tennis still in his 80s.
Yeah.
He got up one day and he was putting on his trousers and he just flopped back on the bed, and they found him.
Yeah, like that. I did actually know that in the back of my mind.
Fast asleep.
Gone. But so like, it's the same thing. So you, in those two parallels, you've got one where you're avoiding, you want to be healthy because you don't want to live decrepitly, right? I
probably said it wrong.
I know, but there was, because I prompted that.
Yeah.
It's genuinely done it so that people can, because there's someone out there that is working their butt off every single day to avoid something.
Yeah.
But actually, I know that you positively spin it. Is like, if we can work towards something that's a positive, it doesn't mean it doesn't change what's happening, but changes your motivation and your outlook. So if you're working towards an ideal death, it's like, well, it's maybe in 15 years' time, give or take, things are sorted. I'm traveling loads. I'm really healthy. And one day I just pop my clogs. You know that you're having to take your proteins, go to gym, do all the things that you're currently doing, but you're loving your life in the process, as opposed to like, shit, I didn't gym today. What is that? Where's that going to lead me? And I get a lot of people that go, I really want to lose some weight because I hate how fat I am. And immediately I go like, you're trying to change something because you're ashamed of what you are, which means that when you lose your weight, you still carry that shame with you. So it's using fear as a negative motivation, but long-term motivation of fear is negative on yourself, because you may have lost the weight, but you haven't lost the shame.
Yeah.
So actually you've got to work on, I'm going to lose weight because I love who I am and that's worthwhile. Then there's no shame in that, and it's a positive reason, right? Yeah. And like there's so many different ways of looking at it, but it's so important how we frame what we're doing, because that's what keeps us going for longer.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So yeah, I think it's been massively insightful, some of the things that you've said. Now, what lies ahead?
What lies ahead?
Yeah.
Well, I could tell you a lot, but I'm not going to.
What do you want to lie ahead? I suppose you kind of have, haven't you, in a roundabout way?
Yeah. No, it's to continue with with my health.
Yeah.
It's to continue with creating friendships.
Yeah.
Building my relationships that I've got. Reconnecting with you guys, with family, with Janine, the grandkids. That's all top of the list now.
Yeah.
And and find a relationship that is really going to be meaningful, that I can travel with, travel around the world. I mean, I never thought about that before. It was like
social influences, right?
It was just shelved, honestly. It was shelved, and the thought of traveling to some far off country, I used to think, nah. But now it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is social influences of people around you who want to do it themselves. So you think, well, I'll come along.
But it is so maybe a skill in life, because I was going to ask you some advice, is find the people that are doing things you want to do.
Yes.
Or if you're surrounded by people that don't inspire you, find different people till you get inspired.
Yeah, you do have to find the right type of people around you.
Yeah.
And make decisions. If a person's not good for you, don't see them so often. You can still be kind to them.
Yeah.
You can still say hello and buy a drink or whatever. But
so let's go on that. You would have experienced people that were not so good for you, but perhaps not distance yourself. What do you think you change now that will allow you to see who's not good for you?
Awakening.
Yeah. We had a conversation about this in passing, so I'm interested to see.
Yeah.
The pressure's on.
No, well, it's to make a decision.
Yeah.
It's to make a decision that what I've been doing up until now has probably been okay for me because I've made lots of friends and everything, but I've got to do more of that.
Yeah. So what I want to try and get out, because I know that there's someone watching that embodies the kindness and the ability to connect with people that you do. When you're very forgiving, what can happen? Because everything is a neutral, and in certain environments is a positive and the other doesn't serve you.
You mean if you're always caring about other people, you're not caring about yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. And then where do you end up because there are some people, and I've said this loads, is like, you've got to work on yourself, but I need them to hear it from a different perspective, is where do you end up if you only care about other people?
Well, then you don't get what you want.
And then what happens?
Yeah, then you'll end up on a negative road, and it won't take long before you start going downhill again, I think.
Yeah, because just to rehash, some of the conversations we had were, why do we attract certain people in our life?
Yeah.
And it's because you fulfill a role in their life that they don't have. But if they're the wrong person for you, you don't know that.
Yeah. Then
you get dragged down to their level. And what you said was very important is making sure that you're aware of who is not good for you and distancing yourself. But you said in a way, you don't have to be mean. You just don't have to engage as often.
Yeah.
because we spoke about boundaries, and it's a hard lesson to learn, isn't it? Putting boundaries in place. Like,
Well, no, that is a big lesson for me. Is when you're trying to be nice to, not,
yeah, no, it is
not,
nice. It is nice.
yeah, but it's not the right word. If you're just being pleasant to people,
Okay, pleasant's a really good
because when you go past a person, I want them to feel like
word. Like they matter. Yeah,
that they matter.
yeah,
If it's a smile or just a hello or
yeah,
letting them through the door before you, it doesn't matter.
yeah. But I think there's a place for that.
Yeah.
But the other point is someone that brings a negative energy and plugs into you. And then how you set boundaries around that, that's hard, isn't it?
That's the part I've got to learn, is to set boundaries and be more assertive because of my character.
Now, yeah, so it's interesting. If you learn to set boundaries, and I'm kind of coaching this through for people listening, if you learn to set boundaries, then what do you become more accepting in others? What do you accept more of in others?
It's a good question, but you tell me what the answer is.
No, I want you to give an answer, even if it's wrong.
Okay, what do I accept more? I accept that they have boundaries.
Yes. You see, you knew it, right? And that's it. So you become less offended when other people have boundaries and stand for themselves, and you go, that's amazing. And you can accept them more instead of, if you go the old school and you don't have boundaries and someone else does, you go, why are you saying no? How can you do that? I'm offended. And I know that you don't, but this is a generalization. Is that if you don't have boundaries and other people do, you end up getting pissed off all the time.
Actually, it's actually very interesting to observe people who do have boundaries, because I've been looking for that ways, and the way they do boundaries, either I like it or I don't like it. If I don't like it, why? If I do like it, why?
Yeah. And so do you see, have you noticed that the people that set boundaries, is that easy to just set boundaries?
I think for some people it's easy.
Yeah.
And some people overdo it. Their boundaries are thoughtless boundaries, whereas other people are mindful of their boundaries.
Yeah. So there's always a balance, right?
So there's a way of setting boundaries without.
But so what I was going to get to is, let's say you set a boundary and a friend comes along and they don't like that boundary. You like this friend, but you have to keep the boundary. What's going to happen, do you think?
Well, you've got to decide whether that boundary is worth keeping or not.
And if it is worth keeping, because it's something you've decided is worth it without them, is that going to be an easy or a difficult situation?
I'm actually finding it probably easier now.
Yeah.
Because I can actually say, I don't like what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I've got some examples, which I won't.
Yeah, that's fine. Personal.
But I've just got to learn how to set more boundaries for myself.
So here's an interesting insight. It's not easier. It feels better. You feel better about yourself because you have the courage to stand up for yourself and value yourself. Now, what I mean by it, it's not easy, especially at the beginning, to say no to someone that's so used to you saying yes. Exactly, so you need that courage to initially set a boundary. But once you get that in place, step 2, step 3, once you've gone on the journey, you feel so much better because you're no longer compensating who you are for someone else.
Yeah, that's true. Isn't it the same as getting in a cold shower? It doesn't get any easier. Yeah. You just got to make a decision.
Choose to do it all the time.
So you're having to overcome an obstacle every time.
And it's such a small obstacle. And I think it's such a good analogy, because a friend challenging a boundary isn't something you'd usually speak about. It's such a small thing. But those small things add up. And like the best example is if you drink and then, so I've gone through this, if you drink and then you say, I'm not going to drink anymore. It's easy not to drink. It's hard not to drink when your friends go, boring, why are you doing that? Come on, you've changed. And they just throw everything at you. And there's a moment where you have to be brave to not doubt why you're not drinking and all that kind of stuff.
Mind you, that's an interesting one, because I've never smoked.
Yeah.
And growing up, I had people all around me smoking, and I just refused to smoke. So I must have been setting those boundaries.
It's a standard, yeah.
I've also never really drunk. I've drunk a little.
No, you haven't really. Yeah, I've never really noticed.
And I've even been mocked when going on trips with all my friends, when I've ordered a milkshake and they've all wanted to have beers, and I was the center of the joke. Yeah. However, I enjoyed the joke.
So now remind me to talk to you after this about that that human design and the defined center, because that's an example of to go and have beers with friends and order a milkshake and not be bothered by it.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I'm not going to lie. There are some really strong men that cannot do what you've just done.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So it's now like looking around and recognizing like where you actually are. Like, but the point of recognizing it is that's a standard. Once you decide to keep a standard, you live your life according to that.
Yeah.
And anything that you're not able to achieve is because it's a standard you haven't really decided to keep. It's one you maybe want to.
Yeah.
And the smoking is a very good example. Why don't you smoke? I just don't smoke. It's not something I do. So it's, again, you've made a choice, not something I do. But anything else that you're currently trying to battle and change and not do, understand that you're making a choice to do it every time. It's just not conscious.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
So like if you're trying to quit sugar or not eat chocolate or stop watching Netflix, it's not because you can't or because of your past.
Yeah.
It's because you're deciding that it's a standard I want to keep, not a standard that I have.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes down to. We were talking about Alfred Adler, choice. It's just a choice that once you make it, done, not a fight. So it's like how you raise your standards and everything. So, Dad, I'm probably going to end it there. I really appreciate you coming on. Are there any final words you want to give to the audience or anything that you want to say?
Probably cliches like
Doesn't matter.
Believe in what you want to do and go for it.
Yeah.
And overcome all the obstacles.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go for it. And you're going to bump your head and you're going to go backwards, but you have to have the strength to pick yourself up and go.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Dad. I really appreciate it. So I sign off the same way I always do. So remember, Ubuntu, we are who we are through others, but I'll work on me for you if you work on you for me. Thank you very much for watching. Any comments, questions, please send them our way, and I'll just pass them on to my dad. Thank you very much. Cheers.
That was interesting.
It's cool, eh?